Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. He then said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." Jesus then summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out, to cure every disease and every sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, also known as Peter, and his brother Andrew. James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. Philip and Bartholomew. Thomas and Matthew the tax collector. James, son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the Canaan, and Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: "Go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, proclaim the good news. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You received without payment, give without payment. Take no gold or silver or copper in your belts. No bag for your journey, or 2 tunics, or sandals, or a staff, for laborers deserve their food. Whatever town or village you enter, find out who in it is worthy and stay there until you leave. As you enter the house, greet it. If the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. If it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave the house or town. Truly, I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment for that town." Yikes. "See, I am sending you out like sheep into the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. Beware of them, for they will hand you over to councils and flog you in their synagogues, and you will be dragged before governors and kings because of me, as a testimony to them and the Gentiles. When they hand you over, do not worry about how you are to speak or what you are to say, for what you are to say will be given to you at that time. It is not for you who speak, but the Spirit of the Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child, and children will rise against parents and have them put to death, and you will be hated by all because of my name. But one who endures to the end will be saved. When they persecute you in one town, flee to the next. For truly I tell you, you will not have gone through all the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes." Disciple is not above the teacher, nor a slave above the master. It is enough for the disciple to be like the teacher, and the slave like the master. Here ends the gospel. Willow was absolutely excited to get on the bus. My daughter Willow was 5 years old, and as summer was drawing to a close, my wife and I started talking to my daughter Willow about the wonderful world of kindergarten that she would be joining this September. Willow had been in daycare since she was only a few months old, so we didn't have to worry about separation anxiety. But nevertheless, the first day of kindergarten can be a stressful experience. She would be taking the bus for the very first time. There would be new students, new teachers, new surroundings, a whole new structure. And that is an awful lot of unknowns for a 5-year-old to have to deal with. My wife is an elementary school teacher who has taught many different grades, and if there's one thing that she is well aware of, it's that tears come on the first day of school for kindergartners. Some of them from the students, some of them from the parents. And so we decided we were going to make the first day of kindergarten sound as exciting as possible. Willow, kindergarten is going to be so much fun, we tell her. You're going to have new friends, you're going to have story time, you're going to learn how to read, and you're going to know your numbers. You are going to have new teachers who are so excited to meet you. You have new games to learn. It is going to be a blast. I'm kind of jealous. When we took her back to school shopping, we made this the preparation for an adventure. You get to pick your scissors, you get to pick your crayons and your pencils, and yes, you can pick the tissue boxes that every kindergarten teacher has on their supply list. We're going to let you arm up for this wonderful opportunity. And when September rolled around, Willow was so excited to hop on that bus. I was working in a position which allowed me to get to work at around 10 o'clock, so I was lucky enough to be one of the parents to see their child off on the bus on the first day of school. And I stood there with all of the other mothers, because there were no dads there, who came to see their children off on their first day of school. And around the bend, here comes the bus, come around the corner, and I point out to Willow, and she starts jumping up and down, she's so excited, and it pulls up, and those doors open, and she bolts right up to that bus and gets right in line, without saying goodbye. Now, I almost called her back. I almost said, honey, where's my hug and kiss? Come on. It's my little girl going off the first day of school. I started to get all teary-eyed thinking about this little girl growing up on me. Yeah, you can get teary-eyed too, it's a lot. And I knew if I called her back, she would pick that up. What's wrong, Dad? Why are you getting all emotional? I didn't want her to worry that there was something bigger going on here. I didn't want her to worry about me. So she got on that bus and never said goodbye. And as it drove off, I thought to myself, well, we did it. We got our girl on the first day of school with absolutely no tears. Today is Father's Day. It is a holiday that is dedicated solely to the role of men in parenting, like men need another holiday. It's a holiday, though, that has had to change with the times. According to the Pew Research Center, in 1960, 73% of children grew up in a household with both of their parents. 73. As of 2013, it's 46% grow up with both parents, living under the same roof. 34% of children live in single-parent households, and 15% live with a step-parent and a parent. The structure of the American family has gone through a lot of dramatic changes since Father's Day first began around the 1900s. The definition of family is no longer one father, one mother, a dog, and a white picket fence, and a child. What now is a family includes step-parents, single parents, and same-sex parents. As families have changed in that role in society, so has the role of the father. For my very first Father's Day, my 2-month-old daughter bought me this book. It's signed by her and everything. She's really very precocious. What daddies do best. And it's cute. It's got all the anthropomorphic illustrations of dads and they're young doing all the things that fathers do. And it's things like daddies can teach you how to ride a bike. Daddies can help you build a snowman. But daddies can also bake a birthday cake. And daddies can help you sew a bow onto your dolly. There are things in here which would never have been considered fatherly 70 years ago. But now it's normal. It's ubiquitous. The role of fatherhood is no longer relegated to the emotionally distant disciplinarian, but as a person who loves and nurtures children. It's not what parenting is supposed to be. So, while today may be set aside for the men in the family, I really want to talk about the opportunity of parenting in general. As you may have been able to tell by my earlier story, I kind of love being a dad. But parenting is perhaps one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do. How many times have we heard the saying, parenting is the hardest job you'll ever have? And I'm not talking about those wonderful late night feedings. And I'm not talking about the idea of arguing with a teenager about when they can come back in. What I'm talking about is the enormity of parental love. Parental love is the only example of love I can think of where you are supposed to be the entire world to another human being and teach that thing, that person you love so fiercely, how to survive without you. It's heartbreaking knowing this little thing you love, your goal is to get them to leave you. Why would anyone put themselves in such a position in the first place? Why would anyone willingly become a parent? Well, the most selfish answer that I can think of to that, it's immortality, right? People want a part of themselves to be in the world once they're gone. Someone to continue family traditions, someone to inherit the homestead, someone to tell the story of those who came before. There's a strong human urge to create something that will outlast us. And children give us an opportunity to do that. And another reason people will decide to have families is the idea that love multiplies. When two people are in an intense and loving relationship, there's a feeling that bringing a child into that relationship can deepen and grow an already strong bond. The urge to share in that love that two people have amongst themselves can be beautiful. And in a healthy relationship, adding a child can bring a lot of joy. However, there are a lot of couples who think that adding a child will bring in love that is missing from that relationship. There are those who feel that if they have children, some of the tensions and problems that already exist might be solved. And I find that this is rarely the case. It may have something to do with the statistics that we now have 46% living in single-parent households. But there's another reason to have children that the scripture reading today brought to my mind. The reading of Matthew 10, 1 through 15 is often referred to as Jesus' charge to the apostles. Gathers up to 12, gives them authority over unclean spirits and disease, and sends them out with specific instructions. Here's where you should go. Here's where you shouldn't go. I want you to take these things, but you shouldn't take these things. These are who you should trust. These are who you shouldn't trust. The whole of Matthew chapter 10 is instructions on how the apostles should go out into the world, how they can survive. And it reminds me a lot of the prep work my wife and I did to get my daughter on the bus. When you get on the bus, the driver's going to tell you where to sit. I want you to stay in your seat. And when the bus stops, get off, and the teacher's going to be right there for you. They're going to get your name, they're going to take you to your classroom, and you're going to give the teacher all the things that are in your backpack, okay? Even the tissues, all right? She'll know what to do with them. I want you to listen to her, and at the end of the day, she'll help you get back on the bus, and you'll get to Miss Wilson's daycare, okay? It's the same type of thing. Jesus is preparing his followers to get on the bus, to go out into the world and to survive without him. And it's a very parental thing to do, to tell them what they expect as they leave the nest. So if we use the metaphor of Jesus as a parent and the disciples as children, why is he sending them out in the first place? The bulk of the reading today gave plenty of warning about what will happen to the disciples once they go out there, the prosecution that they will face, the persecution. But in the lectionary, it includes the first three verses or the last three verses of Matthew chapter 9. Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like shepherds without sheep, or sheep without a shepherd. He then said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few. Therefore ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers." During his time on earth, Jesus saw the helpless and the harassed and thought to himself, "I cannot do this alone. I need help." And the role of the apostles is to go out and to make the world a better place. Now, I doubt very many parents say to themselves, "This world is in really bad shape. I had better have kids to make it better." But isn't that how we teach our children when it comes to how to behave with each other? Don't we try to make the world a better place when we teach our children about personal responsibility and accountability? When we tell them and teach them about compassion or independence or the worth of others? One of the biggest motivations I've ever seen for young adults to join a church is they wanted to have their children have a moral reinforcement from what they're learning at home. We want our children to live better lives and be in a better world than ourselves. And part of that is giving them the tools to create it. Part of that is finding a way to get them enthusiastically onto the bus. Finding a way that they believe they can engage the world and make a difference. As parents, we have spent our lives on that bus. We have lived in this world and we know the ins and outs of the bus. And we know the bus can be a really horrible experience at times. The bus ride can be long and difficult. There are bullies on the bus. It can be loud and unruly. Your window never seems to slide down, and it's hot and stuffy, and you might get a little car sick. But part of our role as parents is to let them know that getting onto the bus and going out into the world can be difficult. We need to let our children know that the world can be a hard place at times. That they will need to be, as our reading said today, as as wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. But we also know that the bus can be a wonderful experience. There are times when everybody sings on the bus together, that you have a friend on the bus that you don't get to see till the end of the day, and you get to tell them all the things that happened. Or they get to listen to you, or you to them. As parents, we also need to show our children that there is beauty in the world, that there are kind people in the world worth knowing, friendships worth forging, that there is a simple joy in seeing the beauty of the trees and the hills roll along while you ride the bus. This world is filled with things worth experiencing. So today is Father's Day. Celebrate parenthood, but don't forget that we are all parents to the children in this world. That all of us in community have something to share and offer future generations. For isn't the goal of a religious community the same as that of a parent? To provide a loving place for those who want to go out in the world, to provide respite for them times when they are weary after being out all day, to prepare them for the obstacles that life will hand them, and to remind them that there is still beauty and wonder amongst the noise and chaos. My daughter, Willow, is now 13 years old. And she is not a fan of the bus in the quite literal sense. You know what it's like to have a 13-year-old, I can tell. But my daughter is a fan of the world. She has embraced the beauty of friendships. She has a strong sense of responsibility and of compassion. She has learned to spot the pitfalls, the false friends, and been brave enough to advocate for herself and for others when she sees an injustice. And I would love for my wife and I to take all of that credit. But we only started her on that journey. We just gave her the tools to get on the bus. We gave her the tools to go out into the world. And the rest is up to her. And I hope that one day she's able to help somebody else get on the bus. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.